famous, and as you probably know, I'm co-author of the New York Times bestseller, The Passion Test, and Your Hidden Riches, Unleashing the Power of Ritual to Create a Life of Meaning and Purpose. Hope I never have to say that 10 times straight. Anyway, what most people don't know is that rituals are the unspoken secret of all successful people. And, you know, unspoken because most successful people consider their personal rituals just that, you know, very personal, and yet every successful person has them. And that includes people like Gwyneth Paltrow, who does yoga asanas first thing every morning, and Lady Gaga, who takes 5 minutes first thing in the morning for self-directed love and gratitude through compassionate thoughts. And me every morning, I wake up and I go, okay, I'm setting my intention for the day and what I'm thankful for. You know, and it includes Warren Buffett, who plays bridge daily, and Serena Williams, who bounces the ball exactly 5 times before each serve. I'm going to start counting. Rituals help successful people perform at their best, stay calm even under intense pressure, and create that balance in their life that we all need. And when we talk about rituals, we're not talking about religious practices, although there are many wonderful rituals in various religious traditions. We're not talking about superstition. We're not talking about habits. We all have good or bad habits that have developed unconsciously. And in contrast, rituals are conscious, intentional practices you choose to make habitual because they improve your life. I'm going to say that once again because, you know, everybody has these like ooga booga thoughts about rituals, but what rituals are conscious, intentional practices you choose to make habitual because they improve your life. When World Cup soccer player Leighton Barnes, who plays for Great Britain, walks out on the playing field, kneels down and then ties his shoes, this isn't a good habit or a bad habit. It's a ritual he performs that separates his ordinary daily life from his life on the field. It's a ritual that puts him into a mental and emotional state where, you know, he can perform at his best and keep his focus, even when thousands of fans are screaming in the stands and millions are watching him on TV. Millions of people. I mean, can you imagine? You know, sports stars use rituals to perform at their best and stay calm, and musicians and artists, well, they use rituals to spark their creativity. Business people use rituals to create cohesive teams like ours for the Passion Test and build strong corporate cultures, and celebrities and others use rituals to create balance between their personal and work lives. And, you know, all of you might ask, why in the world, here's really a good one, would someone as successful as Simon Cowell, star of, you know, American Idol, Britain's Got Talent, and multi-millionaire producer, make a daily ritual of climbing a tree? You know, when I heard that, I went, what? Chris told me that. And I said, climbing a tree. And yet he said himself it's a daily ritual for him. And when you're as successful as he is, you know, you're under this like massive intense pressure, and lots of people want your time and attention, and there's always more to do than, you know, the time to do it in. And my guess is that when he climbs a tree, it's probably a chance for Simon to feel like a kid again and to just, you know, forget about everything he has to do and just have some fun, for God's sakes. And, you know, don't we all need that? And, you know, it doesn't matter if your rituals make sense to anyone else. I don't care. You know, what's most important about effective rituals is that they have personal meaning and value to you. And so in this series, we interview some extraordinary, successful people. And we get them to talk about how they use rituals both in their work and business and in their personal life, so you can learn how you can use rituals effectively in your own life. So if you want to get some guidance about the power of rituals and how you can use them effectively, then be sure to get a copy of our new book, Your Hidden Riches, Unleashing the Power of Rituals to Create a Life of Meaning and Purpose. And here's wonderful news. Until October 10th, you can get a complimentary hardcover copy from us if you just cover $6.95 for the shipping and handling. So to get your copy, go to thehiddenriches.com/book. Again, www.thehiddenriches.com/book. So I'm really excited because tonight I have the really wonderful delight to talk about rituals with a man who I met a long time ago before he became the hot sensation that he is today. Brendon Burchard is one of the most widely followed personal development trainers of our time and one of the top 100 most followed public figures on Facebook. Brendon, this is so outstanding with almost 2 million fans. I mean, I think about that. I went to your Facebook page and I said, how does this little guy do this? He's a youngster. He's also a New York Times best-selling author whose books include The Charge, The Millionaire Messenger, Life's Golden Ticket, and the soon-to-be-released groundbreaking book, The Motivation Manifesto, 9 declarations to reclaim your personal power. So, Brendon, I'm so proud of you. Brendon's also the founder of High Performance Academy, the legendary personal development program for achievers, and Experts Academy, the world's most comprehensive marketing training for authors, speakers, coaches, and online thought leaders. And he's also the executive producer of The Charge Life, which is a motivational podcast that debuted as the #1 podcast in the world. #1 podcast. I mean, that is so outstanding.
That's
crazy. On iTunes. I mean, it is crazy, Bryn. How did you do that? Across all categories. I mean, you rock it. And then Brendon's YouTube show is also the most watched self-help show on the web. And his videos, newsletters, and products, and posts, and appearances inspire over 6 million people per week around the globe. And this guy, he's my Brendon, my buddy. So, Brendon, thanks so much for being here with me today. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thanks for having me, Janet. I miss you, and I love it. I'm so excited for this call. You can't.
I know, me too. We've been able to talk about the value of rituals, and I really love what you said about the habit some people have of getting up and answering all their emails first thing every morning. So will you share your thoughts about how this habit and, contrast it with the rituals you use to start your morning?
Yeah, well, it's estimated 64% of people now, their first action in the morning is picking up their phone and checking their text, checking their voice message, checking their email. Almost 100% of people now who are employed tend to check their inbox in the first 90 minutes of their day. And the stats on all that is, frankly, debilitating to their real progress in life. Because if your first action in the morning is to check in, then that also means in some way you're checking out of your life. Because as I always say, that the inbox is nothing but a convenient organizing system of other people's agendas, right? So you've got this challenge where if you wake up and you jump into the agendas of other people, then you don't have that ability to be more conscious or thoughtful or intentional about the day. You don't have the ability to think about what you want to be proactive about. You don't have the ability to plan for a day. What happens is you jump into this big pool of other people's false emergencies and their needs, and you're taken into, I guess, I would call it a ritual of reaction, because as you say, rituals can be positive or negative, and I think that's a terrible thing that people are doing with their morning, is throwing it away. And what we found at High Performance Academy was such a simple truth, and as soon as people get this and they apply it, everything changes. If you ensure that you do not check your email within the first 60 minutes of the day, that means you wake up and go running, go for a workout, go for a long walk, have a healthy breakfast, meditate, make a shake, just sit down and journal or sit down and plan. What do I want this day to be about? What must happen today? What are my priorities today? Who do I need to reach out to? Who am I waiting on a decision from? If you'll just do those types of things in that first hour, but you don't do your inbox, you will increase your productivity over the course of the week by 30%. 30%. And most people who's actually tried this, Janet, they're like, 30%, Brendon, I increased it by 10x, by 40%, by 50%, because most people, they're just completely, immediately torn from their own sort of direction of the day. And so I think it's really important that what you guys are teaching, and that for people to develop rituals that not only keep them, I think, sane and mindful, but also productive. Also in a state where they can get into flow and find that magic within themselves, so that when they're working from their own consciousness versus act.
It's so funny because I actually once in a while, like I want to grab my phone, and you told me this a long time ago, right? and I just went, Brendon's Brendon's watching you, Janet. Don't you dare pick up that phone. Check that email. It is like such a major thing, isn't it? I'm like so happy to hear you share this with everybody, because it's like massive. I found it like it is so true what you just said. And when I start my day with my meditation and my yoga and my shake as well, then everything after that just flows. Everything flows. And I've had my moments where, oh, I don't care what Brendon says, and I'll pick that little sucker up, right? And I find that it throws me completely, and that's why I just love, that you're sharing this with everyone, because it's kind of like I love this quote, do less, accomplish more path, right? So I wanted to ask you, why do you feel that rituals are so important? I mean, you said it, but, why do you feel it's so important for someone who is committed to living that full massive life? Are you there? Hi, Bren.
There you go. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, did you hear my question?
Yeah, I did. I got muted somehow. But I think it's a really important question. I think if we don't have rituals, then it's pretty likely we don't have full consciousness. And what I mean by that is if we don't have sort of a scheduled or a habitual routine that we take ourselves, if we don't have a ritual, what is happening is our life becomes controlled by unconscious impulse. And our sort of more baseline impulses usually tend towards ease, laziness, or fear. And it's not that they always do, but those general impulses come up throughout the day for people, and all of a sudden they find themselves waking up like on the couch 5 hours later, having watched a marathon of some television show, 5 potato bags deep, and wondering like, what happened to me? It's because they had no plan, and so they just reacted to this whim and said, I'm tired, I'm going to sit on the couch and just hang out. And the unfortunate reality is, if they had at least a ritual to determine, well, what should I do when I'm tired, that was more restorative than, oh, well, I'm tired now, so I'm just going to grab some potato chips and sit on the couch. I think they would find a very different level of existence. And I don't mean to be flippant about it, because I've been there too. I mean, I'm not making fun here. I've had the same challenge in my life. I'm trying to be productive. I'm trying to write books and change the world. But if you really have a mission, if you're absolutely dedicated to making your mission in life happen, you will develop rituals. Without the rituals, you will just find yourself responding to everything else. And worse, in the times when you're not engaged in the mission, you'll be doing things that, frankly, aren't even adding to your own life. And so the rituals help us get in the right state of mind, and they develop the practice of progress for ourselves as well.
So will you tell us a little about how rituals and your work and actually, I just want to compliment you. Thank you so much for being so absolutely real, like you are. And that last thing you said about, you have those times when you're not quite 100% on it, and you notice it too. Yeah. And I love that you said that, because what I think is important about that is that, don't you always notice that rituals put you back on track? They just put you back on track. None of us are perfect, right? But then they just, you get back to what that keeps you on, on target with, being able to see the job, do the job, and stay out of the misery. And that's what these rituals seem to do. So back to the next question. Can you tell us a little bit about how you use rituals in your work and your business.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with my own personal morning ritual, and that's when I wake up. I always lay there just for a few moments and take some gratitude into my life and think about the things I'm happy for and the things I'm grateful for. I learned that from Wayne Dyer, who, when he rolls over to his side and puts his feet on the floor, his first thing to do is close his eyes and say, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And I always thought that was amazing. He's done that for 40 years, apparently. And I thought, that's incredible. So I start the morning with gratitude. And then what I like to do is I like to go downstairs. I like to boil up some hot green tea and go to my shelf and pick out a book. I'm usually reading 3 or 4 books at the same time. I go over, I sit down my book, I get my little green tea ready, I come over there, and I just start drinking a little bit of green tea, not too much because caffeine and me don't get along too well, but just I like the taste of it, and I read. And so I like to read at least 15 minutes to maybe 30 minutes. I'm a pretty fast reader, but just to get my mind on thoughts that are usually inspiring or contemplative for me. So I'll read things like Khalil Gibran, or I'll read some poetry, or I'll read some story or something that I'm fascinated by about the time, just to re-engage my brain slowly and just kind of wake up a little bit. And then I immediately go over and I do my one-page productivity planner. I'm not sure if you've seen that before, but basically it's a one page of how I manage my whole life, literally. It's got 3 rows on it, and the top row says projects, and there's usually between 3 and 5 major projects that I'm working on at any given time. So I just write, what are the 3 or 4 or 5 big projects I'm working on, and what are the 5 things I have to do to move those projects forward. And these are never, this is not what I have to do during the day. This is not my to-do list. It's just keeping my mind strategically on what I'm working towards. Then the second row is the people row, and that has 2 columns in it. One column is people that I'm waiting on for a decision, and the other column is people I need to reach out to. And then the bottom row is priorities. These are the things that are going to happen that day, no matter what. And usually I try to do those priorities. The way I kind of work when I go to work, and I have some more to share about my ritual here, but just since I'm on the topic, when I actually do go to work, the first thing I do when I open my inbox is I sort it from the sender column, and I look, these people who I said I'm waiting on a decision for, have they contacted me? If I don't see their name in my inbox in the morning, the first action I do is I move them over into the category that says, these are people I need to reach out to. And then when I go to send out or do anything in my inbox, the first thing I do is I send these people emails. The first thing. So I never get to the end of the day. I haven't got to the end of the day in 5-6 years where I go, oh my gosh, I forgot to send that email. And that's what people always do. They're like, oh, I was supposed to send Sarah an email today. I never forget that, because at the beginning of the day, it's like, these are the people I'm waiting on. These are the people I have to reach out to. So my first action in my inbox when I finally get to it, which I'll talk about in a moment, is to send an email out to those people. And then the next action of my day is to finish those priorities. And I'll do all of that before I ever actually, quote-unquote, check my inbox. And you know this. Sometimes it upsets people because I don't actually get back to them fast enough. Or I haven't seen their... Yeah, I know. You've been frustrated with me plenty of times, deservedly so. But it's like I know that those items have to happen that day, otherwise the wheels come off. And so I dedicate myself towards doing that. But before I actually do that, I just sort of, in my morning with my flows, it's usually gratitude, then it's reading something inspirational, then it's doing my one-page productivity planner. Once I get that done, though, then it's time for me to stretch or work out or meditate, usually just depending on what I feel that morning. Sometimes my body says, you know what, today's not the workout day, so I'll just do a long, long stretch. Or sometimes, just depending on how well I slept, I feel like I need a meditation right then. And then so I'll do that. And once I have that sort of accomplished, then I sit down after that stretching, after that workout, then I write for 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And that's usually the quotes that people see on my Facebook page. They're like, how do you come up with all these quotes? I'm like, I give myself time to do it. That's all. So I sit down, I write some inspirational thoughts because it gets me in the creative mode. And then I begin the day's priorities and work or going into the inbox. Is that what you were kind of looking for?
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect. Where are you in time in your day when you're at this place that you just mentioned after all of this? What time is it?
Oh, I'm usually within the first 60 to 90 minutes. So yeah, it just depends on how long of a workout. Usually, if I do a morning workout, it's very rarely more than 30 minutes because I do pretty intense sort of HIIT training, high intensity training. So it might be like 20 minutes to 30 minutes tops. So yeah, usually by the first 90 minutes, I've kind of set my day off on a really good place. And then if I go to check in my inbox or I start working towards my priorities, I have times during the day that are also blocked, and I call them block time. And those are times when I'm not near the phone, I'm not near the inbox or the computer, and those are the times I just get stuff done, unless it's required to be on the computer. But then if I'm on the computer, I'll usually just not look at my inbox and make sure I don't have any alerts on my computer, and then I just create, I work. And you know what's so funny? I actually talk about this in one of my upcoming videos for my new launch for next week, and I tell this story about how I did this poll with these high performers. And I said, one of the best things you can ever do is, one, not check your inbox in the morning, and then two, have 2 scheduled times in the day that are block time, that are 90-minute segments somewhere in the day that nothing else happens during those 90 minutes except real productivity towards your goals, your dreams, your desires, right? And you know what, Janet, people always say, they're like, oh, well, two blocks of 90 minutes? Oh, well, how could I ever find the time? And I said, remember, I said those 2 blocks of 90 minutes are for the time for you to actually create and contribute. And they say, oh, you don't understand my life, and I'm doing all these other things. And I go, wait a minute. If you can't find 2 blocks of 90 minutes during the day to actually create or contribute something, then what exactly are you doing all day? I mean,
Answering every email.
That's right. They're just reacting. I'm like, wait a second. If you're not creating or contributing at least 180 minutes every day, you're never going to reach that level for yourself that you would even remotely call high performance, right? And I'm even close, because it just requires that much diligence for the masters to move forward. They spend a lot of time at their practice, whether that practice, if you're going to become a master meditator, they're going to meditate a lot. If they're going to become a great artist, they're going to do a lot of paintings. If they're going to become a great speaker, they're going to speak a lot. You have to find that time where you're significantly contributing and creating every single day towards your art or your passions or your dreams. And that's part of the ritual for me. Because if my rituals aren't, I have 2 kinds of rituals. I have the scheduled rituals, which are the ones I just described, right? The scheduled rituals, every morning I do these things, every day I block these types of time where nothing happens but those things. But then I also have what I call more of my reactive schedules, which reactive rituals. My reactive rituals are, if I feel tired, I do something the same every time. It's a ritual. It's my tired ritual. If I'm tired, I'm going to do one of these 3 things that I set up as a ritual for myself that are healthy for me, versus just go by the impulse of that fatigue. So my brain says, dude, you're tired. Time for your tired ritual. If I'm being treated rudely, or somebody is just trying to get under my skin, someone says something mean or something, I have a ritual for how to deal with mean people. So that, because otherwise my impulse in dealing with a mean person can be, I just scream at them, and that's not helpful. So obviously we know we're going to deal with mean people. We know we're going to get tired. What else do we know about ourselves? And the more that we know about ourselves and about how the world will interact with us, the more intelligent we can be in designing a ritual that's almost an automated response that's healthy, versus going into an unconscious, unhealthy, reactive state that I think a lot of the world ends up living in, because they just never consciously chose to develop a ritual. Simple things, as an example, one of my sort of reactive rituals is if somebody comes into a room, or if I meet somebody new for the first time, whenever I see somebody new, like I'm going to interact with a human being, my mind says, as soon as I see someone's eyes, I say 3 words to myself. And those 3 words are my interaction words. They're just cue words to help me remember how to be as a human with other people. Oh, I know it sounds so silly.
Well, what are the 3 words?
Pardon?
They're always different.
No, mine are always the same.
What are they?
They, for the record, they've changed over the years, but they've been mostly the same. The first one is engaged. So I want them to feel my presence and my engagement with them. I want them to know that I've noticed them coming into the room. I want them to know that I'm seeing them and acknowledging them. I want them to sense that my engagement with them is going to be real versus kind of, hey, how are you? You know? I really want them to set, so engagement is first. My second one is caring. So I want them to know that I care about their life or about themselves, so I want to ask them, like, how's it going? How's your family? How's your wife? What's going on with you? You know, how have you been? I want them to know that I'm interested in and caring about them. And then the last one is inspiring. I want to leave them inspired or lifted or energetically in a more buoyant or positive place than they were when they met me. And so I've said that since, I've been doing that since 2010. And it was a life changer for me because I found myself, like everybody else, most people's rituals are, I wouldn't even call them rituals. It's a ritual of unconscious, behavior. It's just show up and, kind of go through it. And I think that's okay, by the way. I think it's important to be able to be free in the moment. But I also think that most of our impulses, because they lead us to our automated behavior, and most people's behavior that's become automated was never perfectly or I would say personally self-directed. It just kind of, that's their habit now, but it wasn't ever conscious in the first place. That's why I think it's a very positive thing for people to do, is say, okay, when I'm going to interact with people, what's that interaction going to be like? And make that a ritual. And that will start to create a character about you that they sense and feel from you. And I don't mean a character like a cartoon character. I mean, like, they'll notice you have character and gravity towards you because they'll see that you're being intentional in the reaction and the interaction with them. And I think it's a very powerful ritual.
No, that's great. You take intention, setting your intention at a whole nother level just now with me, right? I mean, one of the things that I do every day is I set my intention for the day. But what you're doing, and in the passion test we say when you're clear, what you choose to have show up in your life will. So, I mean, man, you are like the clear guy in my life. And what do when you meet people? Those 3 words are brilliant because you are setting that powerful intention right off when you look at them of what you want to create together. And I'm so glad you shared that with me. Thank you. I'm going to set mine. I really, you just raised the bar on intention. Thank you. Thank you. Seriously.
Thank you. I'm happy. You might like the other 3 words too. For folks who feel like they, I know you've dealt with this a lot more than I have because I think, one thing I love about you and Chris is I think you guys go at a much more profound, deeper spiritual level than, frankly, I'm even capable of doing with people. So I know you've seen this too, where a lot of people have the challenge of not really feeling a sense of personal integrity in who they are. They're kind of confused about who they are sometimes. And another thing I tell people, I say, well, you can have 3 sets of words for 2 different things. One is your interactions with people. Like I see them and I think engage with them, care for them, inspire them. But I also have one for my identity. That these are the 3 words that I want myself to think of when, for me personally. That I remind myself of these are my words. So when I go to do a video, that these words are no person is there, but I remind myself that these 3 words are who I am. Like if someone ever wrote the 3 words on my tombstone, these would be the 3 words I'd want them to describe me as. And so I refer myself, I say those words to myself all the time. I actually do, after I finish my meditations now, I do a little bit of tapping because I like that. But when I do tapping, I'm very intentional about the words I'm putting in. And so when I'm doing that, though, I'm saying these 3 words, over and over when I do my tapping. And those 3 words are, words that are important to me in terms of my identity. And so I think just having, I know it's so simple, but...
Are you going to share this word?
Oh, yeah. My first word is present. So if you ever see my videos, I force myself to be present. I'm like, I want to be a present person. And I do that because I think I've told you before, when I was in college, I had no presence at all. Like, I just was kind of, because I do have ADD a little bit, I think, and so I have to really pay attention to where my presence is. And my second one is enthusiastic, because I think from enthusiasm flows, for me at least, enthusiasm flows both my joy and my excitement for life, but also I think it helps connect my message or what I'm trying to do in terms of my mission with other people. And then the last one, which I've really worked on for a long time, it's been my third word since 2012, which is bold, because I'm trying to be bold with my brand, with my marketing, with my statements, with the challenges I give to my customers and students, so they can go even beyond where I usually would push them. I try to push them a little bit more, so I'm trying to be more bold in my character and what I'm doing. So these can be aspirational words too, because I'm working into those words all the time. And by having them, it's been so helpful. And I'll tell you what a dork I am, Janet. These 3 words, on the interaction side and my identity side, they're in my phone. What I mean that is, I set an alarm that goes off 3 times during the day with my identity words, and then another alarm that goes off 3 times during the day with my interaction words. So this phone buzzes at me 6 times throughout the day. And what happens is it buzzes because you look at your text, right? So it's like, so it buzzes and there's a word, and I'm like, you know what? That's right. So I'm creating, to me it's like automated conditioning. I'm programming my brain to think about these words throughout the day, and it's really good because sometimes I'll be like in a line at the grocery store. I'll go get a green juice or something, and I want to get back to work because I'm passionate about my stuff, and I'll be, I'll just be wanting to go there, and I've literally been at the cashier one time, and I'm just like kind of grumpy because I wanted to get out of the store, and my phone buzzed, and it said caring on it, and I thought, you know what? I bet this cashier is not feeling any caring from me at all. So I was like, you know what? I really want to thank you. How's your day? And I know it sounds so silly, but having it on there, I think we can use our computers to program our computer, So that's why I set my alarm on here.
Brendon, you rocked it. Thank you so much. I love everything you shared today. You are the teacher living the teaching, and I just so appreciate you. And I just want to thank you for sharing your insights about rituals, and you just gave us such massive, great content. So, I especially got to tell you, I want everybody to remember, don't look at your cell phone or your computer first thing when you wake up. Do what the boy Brendon says, because he's the man, and he's living that dream, and it's because he follows his rituals, and he's really intelligent about how he starts his day, right? So for all of us, let's like set our list now, now that this hangout is almost over. Sit down and, what are your words going to be that you say to yourself to remind you of who you are? And, what are those 3 words going to be that you want to say throughout the day to remind you how you want to be with others, and, what you want how you want to engage with others like Brendon does. I mean, so much good content. And, I hope you all were taking massive notes so that you can start to integrate this knowledge into your own life, because it really does, as you see from the people that we've been interviewing, absolutely works. And for all of you, if you're ready to dive in and experience the remarkable ways that rituals can help you be more effective and stay calm and create balance and reconnect with what really matters in your life, then come on, join us October 24th to 26th in Chicago. We're going to have the most incredible time. at the Hidden Riches Experience. And this is going to be such an outstanding special time to meet and create relationships with amazing people who can support you in living, as Brendon would say, a fully charged life. And you'll have the chance to learn how rituals can help you transform your dreams into reality with thought leader Mary Morrissey, and create a state of health, energy, and vitality from the renowned healer John Newton. And then invest your money so you never lose any of it from #1 New York Times bestselling investment coach Phil Town. And so many other incredible New York Times bestselling authors are going to be sharing their wisdom there with you on how you can live, again, a fully charged life. And full tickets for the event are $497. That's $497. But because you're on tonight's Hangout, write this down. You've got to have this code, so you'll be able to register for just $97. Are you kidding me? Bring everybody. So the code is, and capitalize, RRF, capital, RRF97. Again, remember, all caps. If you enter in lowercase, it's just not going to work. Not a good thing to do. So RRF97. Remember, again, all caps. And to learn about the event, use this special code and just go to www.hiddenrichesexperience.com. Again, www.hiddenrichesexperience.com. And be sure to join us next Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, when we will interview the best-selling nonfiction author of all time, Jack Canfield. I love Jack. So I just hope you'll be with us. I know you'll love it, and I look forward to my hug at the Hidden Riches Experience. So see you then, everybody. Bye-bye. Lots of love to you.